the original days of like MySpace and Facebook, like let's go back then. It was like that you just posted for your friends and your family and like not really strangers on the internet. And then people started kind of like me started like getting on YouTube and like other social media sites where it started becoming more for like people that you don't know. And that was like a little weird. And now, and like people would make fun of you if you did that. And like, it wasn't that normal. And now we've gone to the age of like, everyone is an influencer.
When did this start becoming a business? Because obviously you have your own following, you're the host of the podcast, and then you also have Rella Social. So when did you start seeing the shift from, okay, I'm creating content to now this is my career and I'm jumping headfirst into this?
Yeah. So I started making money a few years in. Like in the beginning, I really was not making any money. And then I started making money a few years in, but like, I never thought that it could be a career. Like I always thought like, oh my God, like if I could just hit like 100,000 subscribers, or if I just like got like made like a little bit of money on this, like that would be so cool. Like it was never the end goal of me or of mine because I didn't think it was possible. Sure. And so once I started like making a little bit of money and then I saw people like move to LA and do it full time, I was like, okay, there's definitely like potential in this. Like I'm going to try to see like what the full potential is. And that's when I started taking it more seriously. And I started like having a consistent schedule with my content. I started treating like my followers as if they were my friends rather than just like posting something and forgetting about it. I started trying to be like intentional about building a community. And so that's when things shifted. And I started viewing social media more as like an opportunity, more as a stepping stone. And like that, it could open a lot of doors for me. Like it was never something that I was like, I want to hit a certain amount of followers and that's my end goal, or I want to do this as a career and that's my end goal. It was always social media will bring so many opportunities. It's going to open a lot of doors, and whatever I want to do in life, I can use social media to like help me get there. And that was where like my mentality shifted.
I think that's such an incredible point, because I think everyone is like, their first immediate question is, how do I make money off this? Or how many followers do I need to get in order for me to secure brand deals so that I can make this my full time? So there's this very like heavy, like goal, but it's almost like it comes through what you're doing. It comes through the creation. It comes through the intention and the content. And I love that you were like, I want to kind of reverse that and be more intentional. And I know being more intentional is what's going to bring me the opportunity in like the long run.
Exactly. And that was where I was like, that's why, I mean, social media algorithms, social media platforms, like they change all the time. Yeah. And I didn't want to rely on just like a metric, like the number of followers I have to determine like my success or what I do in life or anything like that. I was always like, I'm going to create a very strong community. And it doesn't matter how many followers I have. Like, obviously I had a goal. I was like, I want to hit 100K or I want to hit whatever. Like, I think that's important to have, but it was always like, I didn't want to just hit them just to hit them. I wanted them to be like very engaged and involved. And I wanted to like talk to them. I wanted to treat them as friends. I wanted to like really get to know them. And then I wanted to move and be like, what business can I start? What can I do after this? And then bring them along with me. Sure. And that's kind of what I started using it for. So then with Rella, it was like a perfect fit where I was like, this is what I want to start. This is like a need that I have. And like, I already have this audience where I can like poll them. I can bring them in focus groups. I can talk to them. I could have them be the first users and like, they're going to be honest with me. And that was like, great. It would have been so much harder to start like Rella, for example, if I didn't already have that like community around me.
Yeah. It's again, you're creating these businesses off of your own influence versus creating the businesses to pull in more influence, which is, very awesome. Where did the name come from? Rella?
Yeah. So actually our designers came up with it. I wish I said that I came up with it. I should start telling people that, but like I didn't. I'm not that creative. So Rella, I wanted a name that sounded like the words relatable, something that was like building relationships, I always said like, we're building relationships, not transactions. Cause I felt like social media was very like transactional. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to be building relationships. And I kept like throwing out that word. And then because I wanted it to be like relatable and personable, I was like, I want it to sound like a human name, like something that it would be like a name, but like not actually be a name. Like I didn't want it to be like Alexa or something like that. I wanted it to be like something short, sweet, sounds like it could be a person, rolls off the tongue, and that it's SEO friendly, where like if I search it on Google, like we would come up. So it was like all of those criterias. And then our designers came up with a list of like 5 names, and Rella was one of them. And I was like, that is perfect. Like that's exactly like what I was envisioning in my head.
That's amazing. I just thought the name was so cute. I thought for sure it was something to do with the podcast, because the Real, and then also Rella, you have like these like R's, like this R theme going on.
I know the RL, like REL is like a very REAL, like all those letters. Yeah. That's it just, awesome. I mean, on brand, I guess. Yeah,
for sure. So who was like the most influential person when you went to, when you started creating, or you started your podcast, or you're like, now I want to start this social agency? Like who was the person that was really influencing you?
So I would listen to a ton of podcasts. I would like try to look up videos of people that I felt like I could relate to. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I felt like there wasn't that many, especially like starting an app, for example, entering like the tech industry. There were barely any women that were doing it. And then let alone like young women that were in the field documenting it at least. Sure. And so I felt a little discouraged there. I was like, oh my God, I'm entering this thing with like no roadmap. Like no one, I mean, I know people have done it before, but no one's like documented it and like shown the process. And so that's why I was like, I'm going to be the one that documents it, but I'm probably going to make like a lot of mistakes along the way. But I didn't have like one specific person that I looked up to. It was kind of just like a bunch of different podcasts and books and like YouTube videos. And I would search so much like how to start this, or like what is fundraise, like how do I fundraise, or like how do I make like a financial projection spreadsheet, like all the technical things I would search. And I would one resource that really helped me was SlideBean. They're like a YouTube channel, and they help like, so they do a lot of like startup and like business resources. And that helped me a lot. So I would just like, I pretty much got my like MBA on YouTube.
Wait, can you say that one more time for the listeners? SlideBean?
SlideBean, like bean, like the food. Yeah.
Okay. That's a really helpful tip. And also I'm going to check that out, because I'm the same way. Google was literally my education for starting my agency and everything that I've done. And it still continues to be. So I totally feel that. With you starting your own business, obviously, again, we talk about, I want to be like clear from going from like a creator standpoint to now taking on, I'm assuming, clients with like this social media agency. How did that shift work? And how was that as an entrepreneur, being more in this personal brand space and having built this community, to now actually operating a day-to-day business?
Yeah. So that was a little like, it wasn't hard, but it was like a bit of an adjustment, I would say, where when you're a creator, I definitely think that creators are running their own businesses for sure. Like, and I do think like being on social media, you are like a business owner, but there is a difference when you are working solo, like a solopreneur, versus like having a team and hiring and like like scaling something. Cause it's only, you can only scale like your personal brand so much, I feel like. And so that was the difference of like getting into the mindset of like, how does this scale? And like, how do I make this a legit business rather than just something I'm like doing and like as like a small little thing, And so that mindset was a little hard, because I've never had to do anything like that before. And like, I really leaned into like Google, YouTube, all of these resources to help me kind of lay the foundation right. But really I started small. Like I started with like, okay, you get one client and you kind of gauge like pricing, like, okay, I think this is fair. I started asking people what they were charging. I was like looking on different websites, like to see like what people would charge. I would see, I would ask other people that have done it before me. I was like, can you get on a call with me? And can we like talk about like your process? I read a lot of books about it. Like it was a lot of just like preparation, but at the same time, while I was preparing, I was diving in at the same time. Like I was getting clients as I was like preparing, it was like one of those where I was like, I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to learn along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way that a lot of businesses grow. So let's go back to social, because obviously your personal brand, the podcast, and, Rella all revolve around social media. So where do you see social media going? I mean, we have Meta now. TikTok is a huge player. Twitter just got acquired. like where do you see social media going right now?
Yeah, I definitely think that the wave is still on like TikTok, short form video content. Like I think people now are definitely leaning into video. And I think the way that social media has evolved from like the original days of like MySpace and Facebook, like let's go back then, it was
Mm-hmm.
like that you just posted for your friends and your family and like
Mm-hmm.
not really strangers on the internet. And then people started kind of like me, started like getting on YouTube and like other social media sites where it started becoming more for like people that you don't know. And that was like a little
Yeah.
weird. And now, and like people would make fun of you if you did that. And like it wasn't that normal. And now we've gone to the age of like everyone is an influencer. Like
Yeah.
everyone can be considered an influencer. You can blow up with one TikTok. You have the
Mm-hmm.
power to like any single person can like recommend a product and put it on the internet and like a million people can see it, you know? So like, I
Yeah.
think that now we're in the age where like social media is not necessarily for like connecting with friends and family. It's
Mm-hmm.
for the age of everyone to become like some sort of famous or get views or something like that. Like I think now when people post, they post in hopes of like blowing up and like they
Yeah.
post in hopes of like getting views, even if they are not necessarily considered like influencers themselves. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just the nature of social media now is like you post so that you can get views and likes and follows and like that's the reason of posting.